Hi dear, this chapter we speak about analysis and interpretation of financial statements. Before we go forward, we should know what are financial statements. The financial statement is prepared. Normally financial statements are prepared at the end of every particular time period, either quarterly, half yearly or annually, to explain the performance of the company during that period and also at the same time financial position of the company at the end of a particular period. This is useful for basically the people, the students who do not have accounting as major, right? What is financial statement? Right? Our focus is only on the user's perspective. So it is what is financial statement analysis, where the income statement is explaining about how the performance is of that company for a particular period. At the same time, what is the financial position at the end of the year will be disclosed by the balance sheet. And it normally says tearing apart the financial statements and looking at the relationships. Tearing in the sense not tearing physically, but going in deeper and deeper into the financial information of the company, which is published in the financial statements. Who analyzes financial statements? There are two sets of people. One is internal users, that is managers, where day-to-day decisions or various decisions taken by them in the organization for performance. And external users. Our focus is on, right? These external users are external to the company. They are not part of the company. Normally, financial organizations which are financing them, capital suppliers and suppliers of goods and services, right? Creditors and customers and tax authorities, etc. Investors, creditors, regulatory agencies. The tax authority comes here with the regulatory aspects. The regulators also comes part of the external users of the organization information, and stock market analysts and auditors. Those auditors normally they will use the information for making the understanding of this information to the to know the performance of the company. So, what do internal users use for? Right? Normally, internal users, all managers and supervisors and top management, right? They use it, the financial statement analysis for planning, evaluating and controlling company operations. And what these external users, like any investor from outside or bank or anything, any such organization which is external to the company, they use assessing the past performance and current financial position and making predictions about the future profitability and solvency of the company, as well as evaluating the effectiveness of management. So here these are most important things. Performance. When you speak about the performance of the companies, you see performance, that is how much profit they made and what is the return on investment, what is the return on equity, like. At the same time, current financial position, what are the fixed assets, what are the current assets, and what is the mix between current assets and current liabilities, and also how they are financed. These all things will be explained with the balance sheet. And also making predictions about the future profitability based on the present information of performance and asset liability position. The company will be analyzed for profit in the future, profit and solvency in the future. If the investors or creditors or the bankers who believe in the future prospects of the company's performance, then definitely the company gets from the investors and various other groups of the organizations. And also at the same time, how effective the management is. That is also studied based on the information provided to the external users in the way of profit and loss account and balance sheet. Information is available from various financial statement. That is normally published annual reports are very crucial for giving this information, because that they are certified information, and for company it is mandatory to supply this information to all investors and regulatory organizations. So when you speak about the annual reports, published annual reports, basically there are financial statements. One is income statement and balance sheet, and in connection to these financial statements, the notes to the financial statements will be provided. This is like, we can say simply, a commentary on the balance sheet and profit and loss account by the organization. And letters to stockholders. In a financial in a organization, the financial statements will be containing letters to the stockholders. Who will be writing the letter? Normally CEOs are writing the letter about present performance and future prospects of the company, and also directors will be writing the letters. And auditor's report, if they give honestly reporting to the organization, right, then we'll understand if any loopholes are there in the management or mismanagement or anything like. And at the same time, management's discussion on analysis. Management will provide some discussion on the performance of the company, financial position of the company, future plans of the company. All this comes into the what will be known from the reading of the financial statements and analyzing the financial statement. Reports filed with the government. Normally, these are the reports submitted by the companies at the end of every 3 months and 6 months, and finally end of the year. These forms are the standard forms where they need to fill the information and submit to the concerned Securities Exchange Commission and tax authorities by the American companies and European companies. American companies, not European companies, sorry. And also, information about any company will be available from the newspapers, because in the newspaper, various business newspapers, the various information about the companies will be published, and the periodicals where Forbes and Fortune like periodicals. And at the same time, financial information organizations such as Moody's and Standard & Poor and Ernst & Young for our P&G situation, Ernst & Young and Deloitte, etc. These all prepare reports about the companies, and that will be educating the users of that information. And even other business publications like annual report published by IPA, annual report published by the CPA P&G, annual reports published by BPNG likewise. Methods of financial statement analysis. There are different methods, right? These 5 methods are very commonly used for analyzing the financial statements of any company. First one is horizontal analysis. Horizontal means a statement which can be analyzed each column, right? Each information set from left to right or right to left in the provided statement. Using comparative financial statements to calculate dollar or percentage changes in a financial statement item from one period to another period or next period. Normally, if you take any financial statement, if you look at any financial statement, every financial statement will be provided with the current year and previous year, so that last year to this year, what are the changes, we can just calculate item by item on item and year on year information. And vertical analysis, this is a simple way where one particular important item in the statement will be taken as 100%, and every other item will be expressed as percentage to the total or grand total, as what we call as a percentage. For a single financial statement, each item is expressed as a percentage of a significant total. For example, in the income statement, sales is the significant information, and remaining every item will be expressed as percentage of the sales of that particular year or that particular company. Then common size statement, normally financial statements that show only percentages and no absolute dollar amounts that can be taken as a common size statements. And trend percentage, it is like, graphical presentation, right? How the graphical growth or whatever growth or declination of any particular thing will be explained graphically, right? Show changes over time in given financial statement items. Can help evaluate financial information of several years. You can take 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is. Then comes with ratio analysis. The ratio analysis is the expression of a logical relationships between items in a financial statement of a single period. Percentage relationship between revenues and net income, etc. So this will be speaking that, suppose for example, total sales and total sales will be divided into credit sales and cash sales, for example. What is the cash sales as percentage in the total sales, and what is the percentage of credit sales? Ratio between credit sales and cash sales. If credit sales are maximum and cash sales are less, the company's financial situation will be highly demanding for the capital investment in the company. Likewise. Now we look at some examples. The management of Clover Company provides you with comparative balance sheets of the years ending December 31st, 99 and 98. Management asks you to prepare a horizontal analysis on the information. Now you can see this is a statement where assets are given to us, right? Assets, again we have two sets of assets. These are the current assets, where assets which will be converted into cash or cash equivalents, and a conversion of them into cash is very what we call quick or small, what we call short span of time, right? Quick or shorter span of time. And this set of these four will be taken as current assets, and remaining all long-term assets. Current assets are the short-term assets, the non-current assets are long-term assets. This is given to us in the example. Then horizontal analysis example. Calculating change in dollar amounts. Dollar change is equal to current year figure, right, minus base year figure. This is only dollar terms. Current year, in this example 1999 was 1999 current year, and 98 is the last year, previous year, base year, whatever you take. Since we are measuring the amount of the change between 98 and 99, the dollar amounts for 98 is taken as base year information, the previous year. Then horizontal analysis example. So when you speak out, this is only to know the change from this year to previous year, from this year to next year, for example. If suppose sales increased or decreased, how to know? When you take 2 years, this year amount and last year amount, we compare, and last year amount is lower or lesser than this year, that can be showing a growth. If it is last year amount is higher than this year amount, current year amount is lesser, so that is declination is the profit, sales or profit, whatever the item you take. Then in the horizontal analysis, we need to calculate change as percentage. Change as percentage also. Percentage change is equal to dollar change by base year figure into 100. That will give you percentage change. You take for example here. In the horizontal analysis, first item cash. So we have to take, this is the current year, this is the base year, right? Base year or last year. So now to see the difference between current year to the previous year, that means this amount minus this amount will give you what? So sometimes it may be negative value or positive value. Don't expect every time positive, right? That all only happens based on the activities took place in the company. So current year cash balance at the end of the year is 12,000. Last year cash balance is 23,500. Difference is 11,500. It is in the terms of dollar, right? Absolute dollar value. Then comes to the next, when you speak about percentage, 11,500 is the change from the last year to this year, right? Then when you compare in the percentage terms, what is the 11,500 as a percentage in the 1998 information? So 11,500 over 23,500 multiply with 100, it is 48.9%. So these two things, one is change from this year to last year, and also at the same time the change will be expressed as percentage in the last year value, base year value. This is base year, right? Base year. So 11,500 over 23,500 times 100 will get you this 48.9%. So 48.9% negative change from the 98 to 99. So this is a calculation for every item. So this year 60,000, last year 40,000, difference 20,000. 20,000 over 40,000 times 100 will give you 50% changed. In the same way, inventory decreased from 100,000 to 80,000, 20,000 decreased. 20,000 over 100, 20% minus, negative. So when the information is put in the bracket or parenthesis, that indicates a negative, right? So this way you can calculate the percentage of changes, right? So it is, you can see from 1,200 in 98 it came to 3,000, so more than double. So 1,800 is the change, 1,800 over 1,200 into 100. So here this is changed by 150% positive, right? Don't expect it will be less than 100%. No, not always it is less than 100 or something like. It may change any times. Sometimes it may be changing from first this year to last year, last year to this year. It may be changing 100 times or 500 times or whatever it is. And also at the same time, we have to do nothing with the totals of this amount. We should not sum up anything here, because the summing up is not related, not linked in the horizontal analysis. In the vertical analysis, we have to use that summing process. Let's apply the same procedure to the liability and stockholders. In the previous slide, we have seen only assets, current assets and long-term assets, non-current assets. But coming to the other part, we have some other part. Assets are there, but liabilities also will be there, right? So this is the liability side. In the liabilities, you can see the liabilities and stockholders equity. This is current liabilities, that is temporary liabilities. Temporary means short term, not temporary, short term liabilities. Accounts payable, that means when we buy the goods on credit or material on credit from the suppliers, the amount due for them, owed to pay them, is accounts payable. Notes payable, that is bills and notes payable. This is total of current liabilities, right? For 98, 50,000, 99, 70,000, right? Difference is 20,000, right? So then the same process is adopted. This minus this will give you this value, and this over this amount over this into 100 will give you this percentage. So this is a liability side. Then now let's apply the procedure to the income statement. Income statement, you can see income for 98 and 99, net sales, then net income. This is net income, means net profit after all taxes and all. So this is also the same. Sales increased from 480,000 in 98 to 520,000. The difference is 40,000. 40,000 as percentage of 480,000, that is 8.3%. The same way it is applied for all the items in the income statement too. Sales increased by 8.3%. So here once you calculate these ratios or these percentages, your interpretation is very important. You have to start with highest change to lowest change, or to start with highest change and go to the lowest, or start with lowest and go to highest. That all depends on your requirement, on your abilities, right? So you see, sales increased by 14.3%, but profit decreased by, profit decreased by 21.9%. Why? Right? That we don't know. That we can analyze. That is to be understood in the interpretation process by the analysts. There were increases in both cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold, right, increased 14.3%, right? And also operating expenses. See, operating expenses increased by 2%. So automatically net profit, net operating income rose, fell 19.5%, and interest expense, at the same time interest expense decreased, from 7,000 to 6,400. It is decreased. Expenditure decrease means profit increases. Net income before taxes. Last year 32,000, this year 25,000. The difference is 21.9%. Net income decreased because of a major effect of these two items, right? Then less income taxes, 30% taxes. Last year 9,600, this year 7,500. So 2,100 tax decreased. Is 21.9%. At the end, net income decreased by 4,900, which forms 21.9%. So this way you have to write about the analyzing the statement and interpretation of the statement. The management of sample company asks, another thing is vertical analysis. We are going for the second method. The management of sample company asks you to prepare a vertical analysis for the comparative balance sheets of the company, comparing the balance sheets. Now we can see here the balance sheet assets, sample company, cash accounts. This is accounts receivable. You must remember. Sometimes you can find just AR. That's all. Accounts receivable. Right? So you can see this cash from 30%. Okay. Then here in the vertical analysis, what is done is this total, right, will be 100%. This will be treated as 100%. Then every item will be expressed as percentage of this amount, 483,000 for 99. But for 98, 387,000 will be taken as 100%, and every item will be expressed as percentage on the total amount, right? You can see here 1999, 98. In 98, you can see 30%, 30,000 as percentage of 387,000. You can also check with the calculator. 30,000, right? So 30,000 over 387,000, right? 387,000 as a percentage. Oh, sorry. 30,000 over, what happened? 30,000 over 387,000, right? Then you can multiply with 100. This is also will be useful. 7.75%. So they taken it as round figure of 8%, right? The same way you can take all the items one. So when you have to go in a single fashion, a simple fashion, where this is every item of this column should be taken as percentage of this amount, and here every item in this list to be taken as percentage of this 483,000, so that you can get the percentages of all items in the total assets. So when you speak about vertical analysis, it speaks that it explains that the cash is in 98 8% of its total assets 8%, and accounts receivable is 26% of the total assets of the company. In the same way, while coming here, accumulated depreciation, this is a negative one, right? So 4% in the both the years, it is equal 4% of the total assets, and in 98 and 99 together, 90 separate respectively. So balance sheet items, it is showing the calculation, vertical analysis calculation. 82,000, the 99 for 1999, the cash is 82,000. The total of assets is 483,000. Then it is 17%, and 98 it is 30,000 over 387, 8%. This way it can be explaining percentages. Then you have to interpret what changes took place. So in 1998, the cash was a simple balance of just 8% in the total assets of the company, but by 99, company kept the cash more than double. 8% means 8 plus 8, 16% is to double, but 17% of cash retained kept as balance in the organization for the purposes. Cash liquidity increased from last year to this year. Then balance sheet, assets, and this is liabilities. Previous one is assets. Then next one is liabilities. So here accounts payable, the same formula, 60,000. This will be taken as 100%, right? So 60,000 over 387,000. This is 16%, right? In this case also 76,000 over 483,000. Same percentage. This way you can calculate what use vertical analysis and measure the things as percentage in a important figure, right? This is example given to you. And trend percentages. So what is a trend percentage? When you speak about trends, so it will be showing like this. You know what? If you take a small graph, right? Small graph, or if you take any graphically, if you represent or plot the data on any graph, right? It will be showing like this trend, whether it is going or showing ups and downs, or sometimes it may go like this, or sometimes it may go like this and come down, or again go. That all depends on the information which you are using, right? So here 1995 to 99 the information was given. Revenues 1,820 in 95, and gradually gone up and up here. Expenses gone up, and so they will express this amount as 100%, suppose 100%, right? Then next, what is the difference between these two? 1990 and 1991 minus 1820, it will be around 190, 170 it will be. As this 100%, 180 means if this is 100%, what is this as a percentage on the value? It is coming around, if this is 100%, this becomes 109% approximately, rounded off, right? So this way, for all 5 years we can express, and we can put this information on the graph. Then we can see the trend line as what is happening, because a picture speaks louder to the words. So a common individual, by looking at the graph, suppose graph is like this, for example, then the reader will easily understand that consistently growing, right? If that is showing like this, then various fluctuations, it is constantly, it is just lingering around here, it is not growing, right? That way you can understand. So now you can see one example, 1991 minus 1820, this is 171. when you convert them into calculations, this is taken as 100%, and subsequently when you take when on the base year, this is the base year, it is showing this progress, right? So 1991 minus 1820 is 171, and 171 over the base year, this base year amount is 9% rounded, right? In that way it has gone. So 9% means 900 plus 9. This 9% means 100 plus 9%. This is a 1 over 9%. Then you see, once you calculate all those things from 95 to 99, you can see trend. Your sales, you can see sales in this color, this particular color. So how it is going up. Then expenses also going up, but in lesser proportion than the sales. Sales are increasing or growing at a higher proportion when compared to the expenses. So that profit margin also will be growing. See, you can see here in the first 9%, it's 16%, 23 and 32%. Sorry, the expenses is again you can compare. Expenses increased by 6%, 10%, 16% and 20%. But sales increased by 9, 16, almost double. And again 1.5, then again like this, right? This is one simple example where you can see one company, Asian Paints is a company. 1915 and 16, both the years are taken here, right? Right, 16 and 15. Then variance means change. What is the change in this case? This minus this amount, right? This is the change, absolute change in dollar terms is given here, right? This is dollar terms changes of each item. Then percentages. This amount over the base year times 100, right? This is a change over last year amount into 100 will give you this percentage. Same for the earnings before interest and taxes, etc. Different items will be taken here. It is profit and loss account, etc. Right? Then vertical statement. So the profit and loss account is given here, right? For both the years. 2015, 12,878.8, and for 2016, 13,992. So here the sales is taken as 100%. You can see here. Sales is being taken as 100%. Then every item, this is for 2016. This is a 100%, right? Every item, right, expressed as percentage of this one. That means 1533.5 over 13992.15 times 100 will give you this 10.96%. This way you can calculate for all the items. Right? Various items. This slide you download from the Moodle first. Financial analysis, right? Then you go through the slides first and then listen to this video or watch this video. So for example, this is one organization, right? 2014 and 15 data is given, right? Cash and balance with central bank, right? This is a bank account, banking company, right? What is happening, increasing or decreasing, right? These all can be taken for the calculation of both horizontal and vertical analysis. And historical data trend analysis. You see, for example, years 2011 to 2019 is taken. It is of a bank in a particular bank, profit and loss account. And this is the profit, net profit. This we can say net profit. We can take net profit, right, of that bank. Or if it is put in the bracket, it is loss, right? So this is the information. when you put this information, right, by taking into consideration of the changes first, variation. So for 2011 you cannot make any variation because you don't have last year for this one, no data. So that is the reason why we take a variation from here. So this amount minus this amount will be 84,075. See, 681,554 minus last year 597,479. That will give you 84,075. This is calculated for the second one. You can see this minus this will be this amount, right? In that way, for all the years we have calculated. And once you calculate this, you can calculate the percentage changes, or you can use this for the graphical presentation. So only when you see trends in variation is showing like this. Actually you can see the values are falling and again growing. It is not showing any consistency up to 2015, but later on it is consistently growing up, right? A layman also can understand the first 3 years performance is inconsistent, and from next 5 years the continuous growth of the organization's income, or what is that, profit, right? Trend line, how it is being calculated. Trend line with percentages, right? Trend line with percentages. So we calculate percentage between these two, right? This amount over this times 100 will give you what is the changes, a change as percentage in the information. You can see here 84,075 over 597,479 is giving us 14%. This is explained here. The next year it is between these two, right? 9%. That way this is a whole array of the information from this. Even we can also take in a different way. You can take 100%, right? 114, because add this one, 109 and 119, like that also you can take and use this information to put it on the graph, right? So when you take percentages, you can also find the same inconsistency for first 3 years and then going consistently, right, as percentages, right? You can see this. Then year wise net interest income, especially since it is a bank, banks normally basic income is net interest income, that is interest collected from the borrowers by the borrowers of the bank and interest paid to the depositors. The difference is net interest income. So this is the information from 2011 to 2019, right? First year this is the interest income, last 2019 this is the interest income. So the variance is taken here, right? Then, right, you can see there are two negative points where in 2014 the net interest decreased from 2013 to 2014, then 2014 to 2015 also net interest decreased, thereafter again increased. This you can observe graphically very simply. So these 2 years it is fell below, right? Then last 4 years consistency almost, right? Then you can take percentages in this case. When you speak the percentages, you can take percentages of the changes and you use those percentages to make a graphical thing. So you can take again I am advising 100% here in this first case, right? Then 100%, then 115, 116 like that. You can also take this information also gives the same slide, right? The same graph, right? While coming to the ratios, so ratios are very crucial. The ratios play a vital role in understanding the performance of the companies in comparison from one year to another year, etc., etc. Ratios can be expressed in three ways. Ratio as the 1:2 or 2:1, as a profit margin as percentage, or absolute dollar terms. So using ratio and percentage without considering the underlying causes may be hazardous, right? Lead to incorrect information or incorrect conclusion. Categories of ratios. Liquidity ratios indicate a company's short-term debt-paying ability, and equity long-term ratios shows relationship between debt and equity financing in company. Profitability tests relate income to other variables. Market tests help assess relative merits of stock in the marketplace. It is normally companies, those companies which are listed in the stock exchanges, their share prices will be taken into consideration based on the information of these market tests.
The ratios that are numbered and in red you must know. Forget the others for now. They should all be covered in your finance class.
So we look at 10 ratios, right? One, current working capital ratio and acid test ratio, accounts receivable turnover, and number of days sales in accounting and inventory turnover, and total assets turnover, etc., right? Then equity stockholder ratio and equity to debt, right? Return on operating assets, these are the ratios. Net income to net sales, return on average common stockholder, earnings per share. The items highlighted in the red color we are going to discuss in the continuation. Price earnings ratio. The remaining ones, it is work for you. You have to calculate based on the information. We'll take one example of Norton Corporation, right? This is a asset side again, asset side of the company, right? These are the different assets. These are called current assets. That means assets which are convertible into cash quickly wherever required. Quickly in the sense it may be 10 days or 15 days or even up to 1 year, less than 1 year. These are long-term assets which are used for generation of goods and services. In turn, the company generates income for it. So when you speak about this liabilities, these are the liabilities. Different liabilities also again, short-term liabilities, current liabilities, and long-term liabilities, right? And shareholders funds. Income statement, where net sales is given here and net income, right? Calculation of the net income by using the profit and loss account principles. These ratios, for calculating the ratios, we have to reorganize the information, right? Now for 1999 we are calculating cash and 30,000, accounts receivable. So accounts receivable beginning of year means this amount is 1998 amount. Information of 98, right? Beginning of the year means ending of the last year will be beginning of this year. In the beginning of the year accounts receivable was 17,000. End of the year 20,000. So these are useful for making average sometimes for certain ratios, AVG, right? Then inventory beginning of year means last year closing balance will be opening balance for this year. End of year means this year ending. Total current assets is given, right? Total current liabilities is given. Sales on account, total sales, cost of goods sold. These are the basic inputs which are required. Then working capital. First we come with the working capital. Working capital is total amount, what we call the amount invested in current assets in excess of current liabilities is called working capital, right? Net working capital. 65,000 is the current assets. Current liabilities is 40,000, 42,000, difference is 23,000. This is a working capital for the company for 99, sorry. Now, current ratio is current assets over current liabilities. Very simple. Just take the current assets, right? Just take the current assets. This current assets. Where is that? This current assets. Take this current assets, then divide with current liabilities. That will give you current ratio. That means currently what is the ratio between your liabilities and your assets? When it comes to repay immediately, how much you can pay? That will give this measures the ability of the company to pay current debts as they become due. Current ratio is the 65,000 by 42, 1.55 is to 1. That means for every $1.55 of current assets, the company does have $1 of current liabilities. That means they owe to pay $1, but they possess $1.55. If all the liabilities come for the payment or demand for the payment, even after paying all the liabilities, they will have 55% of asset with them, where they do not get any problem of activities. Then asset debt ratio. Suppose in the organization, when you see current assets, inventory is a part and parcel of the current assets. Inventory means finished goods or raw material, anything. If these goods are for raw material not saleable within short span of time, right, then you cannot make payment back to the creditors. In such cases, these current assets minus inventory will get you quick assets. Current assets minus inventory. Inventory will give us quick assets. So that means if inventory you keep aside, you ignore, how much assets you have to pay back your current liabilities. Quick assets are cash, marketable securities, accounts receivable net, and current notes receivable. These are normally simple examples for the quick assets. So Norton Corporation's quick assets consist of 30,000 and accounts receivable 20,000. You can see 20 plus 30, 50,000. Current liabilities will be same. So quick ratio is 1.19 is to 1. That means if liabilities, that means for every $1 of liability, current liability, company owns $1.19 of current assets, quick assets, sorry. So when the lenders or the liabilities demand for payment, even we pay $1, we will remain with 19 cents. There you can operate without any difficulty. Then accounts receivable turnover, sales on account by average accounts receivable. This is what average accounts receivable always, average accounts receivable in sense beginning value plus closing balance over 2. This will give you average. Whenever average is taken, you have to take beginning value plus closing value over 2. Right? Beginning value plus closing value over 2. This will give you average for any item whenever it is required. This ratio measures how many times a company converts its receivables into cash each year. Right? So when you speak about sales on account, always you have to take credit sales into picture, because when you are selling the goods on credit, you are supposed to collect from the customers. So how much, that is the reason why what is the cash sales and what is the credit sales, you must understand and have to use it. Average net accounts receivable is again average, this beginning value plus ending value or closing value or ending value, you can take ending value by 2. This will give you average value. Accounts receivable turnover is 494,000, that is sales on account, right? Then average accounts receivable beginning value plus ending value by 2. This gives you 26.7 times. That means its ratio measuring that. So 26.7 times the company is converting its accounts receivable into cash each year. That means almost every fortnight the amount of sales made on credit will be received by the company without any difficulty. And number of days sales on accounts receivable. Days sales in accounts receivable is 365 days over accounts receivable turnover, the previous one. This one, accounts receivable turnover is this one. So for this example, days sales in accounts receivable is simply 365 by 26.7 times, which is calculated in the previous slide, right? So why do we need to take 365? I hope you all understand this is a calendar year, days of the calendar year. This measures on average how many days it takes to collect an accounts receivable. So 365 days over 26.7 times. This is making 13.67 days. That means how many days it takes to collect on average. That you can see. I have explained you. For every, by taking this value, we can come to a conclusion approximately for every 15 days or less than 15 days, right? 13.67 days means within one fortnight the sold goods. That means if any credit sales made today, within 14 days company is collecting them, right? In practice, would 45 days be a desirable number of days in receivables? You give your answer in the what we call comments under the video after watching it in the YouTube. Then inventory turnover ratio, cost of goods sold over average inventory. Again, average inventory means beginning inventory plus ending inventory by 2. So inventory as per the balance sheet and beginning and ending all by 2. 12.73 times, which measures the number of times inventory is sold and replaced during the year. So 12.73 times the inventory what you purchased converted into goods or traded as it is, whatever it is, you purchased material and sold 12.73 times, almost 13 times in a year. That means almost in every 1 month you are purchasing the goods and selling them entirely every month. Would 5 be desirable number? No, because if your turnover is more, that means you are making more sales. If it is less, you are doing very less sales. Equity or long-term solvency ratios. This part of the information to calculate the equity or long-term solvency ratios, right? Net operating income 84,000, net sales this amount, interest expense 7,300, then total stockholders equity, this is the equity. Then you can see common shares outstanding beginning at the year, ending of the year. So this will be useful for the average again if at all required. It depends on the formula, not your own way. Net income is given. These are all the informations, right? Equity ratio, stockholders equity over total assets. Stockholders equity, what is the stockholders equity? When you speak about this stockholders equity in this question, equity ratio, you have to take only ending value. Don't make any average unless it is said in the formula as average, right? So measures the proportion of total assets provided by stockholders. So in the total assets, how much proportion of assets purchased by owners' money in the company, that makes, if it is higher, the company is run by own money, and if it is lesser, company is run by outsiders' money. Equity ratio, in this case 67.7%. That means in the assets of the company, almost 68% of assets acquired by using the money of the owners or equity shareholders owners. Net income to net sales. Net income to net sales. That means profit in your selling in each dollar. When you are selling each dollar, how much income you are retained as profit, that is net income. See this symbol. So in $1, how much is the expenditure, how much is profit for you, right? Measures the proportion of the sales dollar which is retained as profit. Net income to sales. So net income by sales times 100 is not mentioned here, but it is embedded 10.9% net profit ratio. Would 1% return on sales be good? If you say good, you say good for the net income to net sales is 1% is good or not good? Not good. You just mention in your comments. Return on stockholders' equity, net income over average common stockholders' equity, right? Important measure of the income producing ability. This indicates what is the income producing ability of the company. Return on stockholders' equity. When you speak about average common stockholders' equity, again beginning value plus ending value by 2. When average is coming, you need to look for beginning value and ending value. Then average, take average. Earnings per share. Earnings available to common stockholders. This is a net income normally. Net income of the company over weighted average number of common stocks or shares outstanding. The financial press regularly publishes this information, that EPS amount. In this case, net income is this one and average number of shares, right? This is the average shares, $2.42 per share income gained by the company, right? This is something, of course, we are not going in deep into this topic, right? EPS and all, these are not. Right, last one, earnings per share, price earnings ratio. When you are looking at the shares, when they listed on any stock exchange, they are available for sale or trading, then in market, the price will be quoted on the market based on the demand supply of the shares. Suppose in the demand, in the market, price per the share is 10, for example, right? As per the previous calculation, it is, for example, 2.5 is the EPS. So 2.5, 10 by 2.5 will be 4. That means the company's share is available at 4 times of its earnings. 4 times of its earnings. The in the market, company share is available in the market 4 times to its earnings which experienced, right? This is a price to earnings ratio. Normally they look at price to earnings ratio when looking at the purchase of the shares. So in this case, you see 8.3 times. That means for the earnings, the market price is 8 times, means overpriced. So when you are using ratios, important considerations need for comparable data. Data is provided by Dun Bradstreet, etc. Comparing with the same company or same industry, you don't compare a telecom company with a bank. You always compare telecom company with the telecom company, bank with the bank. And even you can compare with the industry information. But in this case, EPS, is EPS comparable? You cannot compare because number of shares must not be equal for each company, every company equal. No, then we cannot take EPS as a comparable thing. Influence of external factors, always we need to look at influence of external factors, general business conditions, right? Then say seasonal nature of business operations need to be taken into consideration, and impact of inflation also to be taken into consideration. So these are some questions where you can look at in the slides. I will give another slide after some time tomorrow morning, right? Thank you.